It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are tuned in to Expresso on what has been an inspirational Monday morning, man.
Totally.
It's left us feeling a little mundane and untalented, and we're going to continue to drive that home. We're focusing on very talented youth this morning for some real feel-good inspiration. In fact, the entire month of June, that is our focus. And our next guest is a 14-year-old high school student who's using beautiful poetry to shine a spotlight on youth mental health, more specifically anxiety and depression, through her debut book, A Few Slivers of Light. Jess Celeste Robus, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. The cover of the book looks amazing. You must be feeling so proud.
Hi, thank you. I am feeling really proud and honestly just really, really happy to be here. I can say that I never really imagined it.
Well, here's the thing, Jess, is I've been going through your website. Well, we've both been going through your website, and you describe yourself there as a mental health advocate. When did you decide that that's what you wanted to become and what you wanted to be, I suppose?
Well, when I was about 10 or 11, I discovered the works both of Mr. Rogers, he's a Canadian philanthropist and children's TV show presenter, and then also the British singer-songwriter Dodie Clark. And the two of them combined, just the way that they talk about mental health so openly. Like Mr. Rogers' whole ethos is anything that's human is mentionable and anything that's mentionable is manageable. And Dodie Clark, her entire work base basically is just about mental health, and her songs like Secret for the Mad and Ready Now really just have been so helpful to me. And I saw them and I basically thought, that's what I want to be when I grow up.
I love it. And you didn't wait to grow up much.
Yeah, man. You're a kid, man. You're a kid and you're doing crazy things, and it's beautiful. A Few Slivers of Light, which is very evocative in itself, just in the title, is a collection of poems about a teenager's experience with depression. It's your story. Please, for all of those kids out there that are dealing with exactly that right now, tell us a little bit more about where you're coming from.
So the book itself was written over a period of around about 3 years. I think the first poem I wrote for it was when I was around about 10. And then the last poem I wrote was actually only a couple months ago, but mostly over that 3-year period. And I was in the darkest emotional spiral that I've ever been in. And something people don't often say about depression is it's often really difficult to look back, not just because you don't want to, but because you can't. Like looking back, I can see there's just black with a few hazy recollections here and there. And it's a very difficult time. And I didn't know what was happening to me or have vocabulary to express it. But even if I did, I probably wouldn't have told anyone, because that would have felt like admitting some sort of failure on my part, which is completely not what mental health is. And so the writing process of this book was for me as a catharsis, but the publishing process of it was for everyone who's ever felt the way that I did, like they were alone, like they didn't have a voice, or like there was something wrong with them, because there isn't, and I'd love people to know that.
Well, we all of us, and I can tell you at my ripe old age, Jess, that we all sit on the spectrum. Yeah. Some of us might be showing it outwardly, but the majority of us are grappling with something. It's all relative.
Absolutely. But it takes such a great level and a great deal of vulnerability for you to be able to put something like this together and to share your own personal experience and your own personal story, especially from the age of 10, and share it in this way. Was it easy for you to be vulnerable? How hard was it for you to be vulnerable? And why poetry as a medium to express yourself?
So the process of writing the poems was actually, well, I can't say easy, but it definitely felt better to write this than to just not write it and let it sit around inside of my head. Because I didn't go out to write a poetry book, which is what differentiates poetry from other genres. You know, like if you write a short story or a screenplay, you have an end goal in mind. But poetry is more about expressing yourself than actually going out to write a novel or a book or an anthology. But I think that it was nice to write this, to get these feelings out. Compiling it was difficult sometimes because I would look over my work and I actually told my mom, I said, you know, we should have called this book 49 Times Jess Should Have Been Going to a Psychologist and Wasn't. But one of the reasons I love poetry and I chose it is it's quite paradoxical almost. Like it's simultaneously you can mold your words and you can express something in so many different ways, but it's always so honest and so real. And it's always like exactly how it is in your head, but it can be, like I said, molded and be beautiful.
You are beautiful, my friend. Your depth of understanding about this topic, it belies a huge amount of reflection and self-study, which at any age is difficult, but at yours is quite astounding. So thank you so much for sharing this experience of life with us and this beautiful work. And thank you for joining us this morning. I'm going to round off with the words of an incredible poet in her own right, who you were lucky enough to add the foreword to your book, Rashida Khan. And she said, "A few slivers of light is more than a collection of beautiful and evocative poetry. It is a revelation. Go out and buy this book if you haven't already. There'll never be enough mental health advocates in the world. And we are so glad that you could join us this morning and we could help to spread your word just a little bit more." Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a privilege to be here.
Youth achievement. Jess is 14
But she's
years.
got it together, man.
She's inspired us so much. Go out there and get the book.
I'm hungry after all of that self-reflection. Let's go make some chicken roast dinner, please.